how does the Gaza issue, the Gaza genocide, shape how you think about Kamala Harris and how you think about the election more broadly?
I personally cannot support a candidate that supports the state of Israel. The images that I have seen come out of Gaza since last year, I can't unsee what I saw. And what is insane to me is that there are a number of people who are talking about protecting children and talking about family values. Meanwhile, in Gaza right now, they're not even allowing food and aid to get in again. I have seen children's bodies dangling. I have seen children missing arms, bodies torn in half. I will never unsee that. Yeah. And for me, any politician who stands there and supports the state of Israel, which is an apartheid genocidal state, I could never get behind. And if you're taking money from the Israeli lobby, you're already going to do the bidding of Israel, regardless of whatever rhetoric that you're saying right now on the campaign trail. But I could never support a candidate that backs the state of Israel. Cannot do that.
That is, I think, a position. I don't know how to say it. I think it's a principled position. I think it is a reasonable position. I wouldn't challenge anyone on that or on that position. I would never tell anyone not to take that position. I think initially people were telling Palestinians, all right, y'all got it. If you're Palestinian, I'm gonna let you live with that position. Anybody else, be pragmatic. And I think as the genocide has grown, not just in scale, but in public awareness about it, more and more people are saying, I can't in good conscience make this choice. How does this thing end in your mind as a practical matter, right? How do we get to an end to the genocide? And I'm stipulating that I don't believe that any of these candidates that can win have any interest in stopping this. I don't think Kamala Harris, I don't think Kamala Harris wants a genocide. Yeah, if there's a difference between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden to me, is I think Joe Biden is an ardent Zionist who honestly doesn't give a shit about this. I think Kamala Harris is a cynical politician who may really actually be sad that the genocide is happening, but not sad enough to risk her presidency or her campaign or her. So at the ethical and moral level, I don't see them as any different. And again, any distinction is without a difference to me. So at the end of the day, I don't think Biden, Harris, Trump, any of these people are willing to stop this genocide. They wouldn't cross the street to stop a genocide. So how do we get to an end?
Well, you have to, number one, call it a genocide. Kamala Harris said she doesn't believe it's a genocide. So that right there lets you know everything, right? Regardless of what Netanyahu has said publicly and all the videos that we've seen come out of Israel with the rhetoric from the Likud party. So there's that. How do you end it? You're going to have to do an arms embargo. You cannot continue to give Israel the weapons. They're using it's mostly our weapons that are being used to kill kids in Gaza, also Lebanon. I mean, let's be real. We got to bring in the West Bank in this as well. They're kicking Palestinian people out of their homes. This is insane. It's the weapons. And then, Mark, that goes back to money and politics. This is why I say it all leads back to the money. As long as these weapon contractors have a hold on politicians, as long as they are a part of the Raytheon lobby or the Lockheed Martin's the big one. They're a part of those lobbies. That's not going to change. This is why I continue to say you have to get the money out, because as long as the money is there, they're not going to listen to you. They don't have to. They're going to continue to give Israel weapons. They're going to continue to wage war across the world. Why do you guys think they continue to have all these different interventions in other countries, coups in Venezuela, displacing people, ruining people's economy? Look at Haiti, look at Venezuela, you can see what has happened. So until you get corporate money out of electoral politics, this is not going to change. Kamala, I think at her best, will probably continue to say, we're working tirelessly for a ceasefire. Do I see Kamala withholding weapons? Absolutely not. And she even told you that she would not.
Do you see Trump doing it?
No. And that's another thing that pisses me off, Mark. Last night, I talked about that endorsement that came from the Muslim mayor in Dearborn Heights.
Oh, I went off. I went off.
That makes no sense. What are you doing? Why? I don't understand what is happening. I really don't get it. But the reality is Trump is pro-Israel, and so is Kamala Harris. I don't know why they think that Donald Trump would withhold the... You got me fired up now.
No, I had the same issue when all the Muslim leaders came out on Saturday and stood, not all the Muslim leaders, I mean, all the ones I'm talking about on the stage. There's like 7 or 8 of them stood up in Michigan and said, Donald Trump's our person. He'll bring peace to the Middle East. It's like he's never been president before, as if there's no track record of Donald Trump being the opposite. But this goes to the question that a lot of people are asking, and one that I frankly struggle with. I'm still struggling with it, which is none of these people are going to bring peace in the Middle East. There is no pathway to ending the genocide through voting, right? If I vote for Trump, I don't get it. If I vote for Kamala, I don't get it. If I vote my conscience, I don't get it. Right? I get to say that I didn't endorse genocide, but you still end up with one of those 2 people who get genocide. So there's an argument that you can make the moral choice, right? And sleep at good night with a good conscience. There are other people who make the case, as Angela Davis did, as Mehdi Hassan made right here on my show last week, and others made, that at the end of the day, they all are genociders. They're all, anyone who can win is a war criminal and a genocider. Every president in American history has been a genocider or a war criminal. So all you can do at this juncture in history is pick your opponent and fight. Is that not the case?
Let me ask you a question, Mark. If somebody killed your family, would you vote for them?
If someone killed my family, I would need more context.
If someone killed your family, would you vote for them?
Again, I would need more context. Like, do I have to vote?
Regardless, if someone killed your family, would you vote for them? If that person was running, would you vote for them?
Again, I would need more context. I'm not trying to be argue. Let me tell you what I mean. If the choice was vote for them or not vote, I would not vote. If the choice were if I had to vote, or I felt compelled to vote, and it was vote for the person who killed my family or vote for the person who will kill more of my family, I might have to pick the person who killed my family. That's what I mean. It would depend on context.
So here's the problem. Number one, realistically, I don't think that you would vote for someone who killed your family. And that's the reality. For the people who are, blaming Muslim voters, who want to support Jill Stein or Claudia De La Cruz or Cornel West.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood people. I apologize. My question wasn't about Muslim and Palestinian voters. I'm talking about the public writ large.
Well, let me finish. Some of these people have lost entire lifelines in Gaza. Now, for me, I don't have family there. But as someone who is a Black American, there is no way, if you can stand and you stood up against apartheid South Africa, there is no way I can sit up here and endorse what has been happening in Gaza. Absolutely not. And I sure as hell won't reward a genocide either. Okay. So regardless if Trump or Kamala wins, the reality is I can sit here and I can say I am not giving support to the party that is committing the genocide abroad. And as a Black American, I think all of us should be able to look at that and see what's happening to the Palestinian people and think about what happens to us here in this country, what happened to us here in this country, and some of the things that are still happening to us in this country. When we talk about apartheid, we had a system of apartheid. When we talk about the class issue, we talk about criminal justice. Think about what happens to us in the criminal justice system. So there is no, would you still support? No. We are not supporting genocide, period. We are not rewarding it. If Kamala Harris loses, that is on her. They asked her for a ceasefire and an arms embargo. One would have to be very, have a large ego or just not really care to not even consider it. She's not even willing to consider it. One, to sit there and to discriminate against Palestinian Americans and tell them they can't come on the stage during the Democratic National Convention, but the Israeli families can come on the stage. I thought the Democratic Party doesn't do that. I thought the Democratic Party isn't about discrimination. I thought they say the Republicans only do that. We cannot sit back and support that. We cannot sit back and say this is okay. Palestinian people, Muslim voters in this country, the Democratic Party and these people are just basically pretending like they are third-class citizens and that what they want does not matter. This has happened to Black people too. So for me, I think that if you feel as though you got to vote for one of these two people because you feel like they are your hero, I am here to let you know that no politician is going to save you. Kamala isn't going to save you. Donald Trump isn't going to save you. We have to save each other. We do this by organizing and building community and mutual aid. And one of the things I have noticed from the Muslim community is that they are very well organized, and they got together and they said, we have demands. And I think other groups in this country need to do that too, especially for Black voters. We don't do that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. I think I'm agreeing with you. I think if on much of this, I think if Kamala Harris loses, it's not because people voted wrong. It's because she didn't earn their votes. I don't think any candidate is entitled to votes. And in this particular case, I think Kamala Harris was given a very clear opportunity to win. Again, I think she's put in a position of success, not one of failure. Voters in Michigan, voters in Pennsylvania, voters all over the country, particularly young people, brown people, Black people, radicals, progressives, all said, hey, Joe Biden's moving in the wrong direction on Gaza in particular. Kamala Harris had a fresh start and had an opportunity to listen to the young people who crashed that event in Michigan and not boo them off or not get them booed out of the building. She had an opportunity to say, hey, I'll at least consider a weapons embargo. She said no. She said no. She responded to the rumor of a potential embargo by saying, no, it's not going to happen. So I never, and I said this on Democracy Now! Earlier today, we're not going to blame Black men for this. We're not going to blame Muslims for this. We're not going to blame Palestinians for this. If Kamala Harris loses, it's because she took a policy course. She charted a policy direction that is not only unprincipled and morally indefensible, but not a winning strategy. And we already saw that with Biden. So to me, I agree with all of that. I think my question, though, if we begin from the place that they're all warmongers, I'm not thinking about what these candidates are owed. I'm trying to think through, and what I'm struggling with is more sort of what's tactically best, what's best for us, right? I don't think, remember I started by saying, I don't think any Palestinian should ever be asked to vote for Kamala Harris. I think, though, at the same time, if as a practical matter, voting against Kamala produces an outcome that we don't want, I now at least have to weigh the impact of that outcome versus the impact of this other outcome. So, for example, if you knew, since you asked me a hypothetical, if you knew more Palestinians would die in Gaza under Trump than under Kamala, would that shape your vote? Would that shape your voting choice?
No, I'm not supporting Kamala or Donald Trump.
No, I got you. So what I'm saying is that in that case, you'd be making a choice in that hypothetical, similar to the one you raised to me. In that choice, even if you knew your choice would lead to more death than not making that choice, so at some point, it's not just about the kind of abstract moral principle. There's also a practical consequence to our choices that we have to weigh. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying this.
I think that the framing needs to be changed. I don't believe that whether it's Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, I don't believe that the killing is going to stop under either president.
No, I get that. But that wasn't, but you just respectfully hear what I'm saying. I raised a hypothetical that if you knew that one did, for example, it's reasonable to say, although I don't think it matters that much in the grand scheme of things, it's reasonable to say that the rich are going to get a bigger tax cut under Trump than they are under Kamala. That's just a fact, right? Now, Kamala is so ensconced in neoliberal capitalism that wouldn't make me vote for Kamala. I'm just saying that's just a fact, right? So if that was someone's big issue, or if abortion was someone's big issue, or if the Supreme Court was somebody's red line issue, then they may make a different choice than they otherwise would based on knowing that this outcome is going to go here and this outcome is going to go there. I think when it comes to Gaza, one of the challenges is, and I agree, neither person is going to be. They're both so awful on this issue that it's. I do think Trump is worse, and I do think more Palestinians will die under Trump than under Kamala. And Kamala and Gazans didn't sign up to sort of be part of our kind of. Their lives shouldn't be the ransom for this decision-making process. And again, that's not our fault. That's Netanyahu's fault. That's Israel's fault. That's the United States' fault. That's the world's fault that endorses Israel. I'm not putting this on the voters. I'm just saying, as people are struggling with this issue, and because there are a lot of people in my audience in particular, myself included, who are struggling with this issue. I think some of us are not less interested or less compassionate or less outraged about what's happening. We're also saying, which one of these what choice can I make that'll make fewer people die? And I don't know, and I think people are arriving at different answers to that. And I think that I'm just saying, I think that calculation is just as morally defensible as the person who says, I, even as an abstract idea, can never vote for genocide.
So I think part of the problem is, number one, it's been a year, right? It's been a whole year since this war, since the genocide started. It's been a year.
Yeah.
I think the difference is I don't believe that the total killed is going to be different depending on if it's Kamala or Donald Trump.
Why? Tell me why.
That's the thing, because Kamala is not going to withhold the weapons. So as long as you are still giving them the weapons, they're going to kill as many people as they want. They're not even letting food come in. This is how horrible this has been. They're not letting food and aid come into Gaza. And it's not just Gaza. Israel's attacking Lebanon. They're killing people in Lebanon. Like what? Israel is out of control. And so my point is,
but Israel's always out of control.
If they really wanted the hostages back, this would have already happened. I do not believe a ceasefire is going to happen under Kamala or Donald Trump. That's the thing.
But Sabby, that's not. I'm not disputing that point. We're saying the same thing. I'm saying I agree. The debate isn't whether Kamala's good on this. I'm saying, why do you think that Trump? Unless you're arguing that this literally could not get any worse, I could name several things that Trump could do to make it even worse. And I'm saying, I don't share the premise that Trump could not be worse on this issue, because he could be. I could give you a couple of examples. He could send U.S. troops. He could send more weapons. He could not.
Biden already sent some troops.
Right. He could send. I said more. That's why I said more. Right. He could send more troops, not some more. So what I'm saying is, Trump could do worse. And the reason why this isn't just an abstract fear for me is that when Trump stood on that debate stage with Joe Biden, he said, I agree with everything that's happening. I want him to do it harder and fast. He said, I want them to finish the job. So Trump doesn't even pretend to use restraint. So again, Kamala is terrible on this. Biden is terrible on this. Obama was terrible. They're all terrible on this. But I would argue that Biden was that Trump was objectively worse than his predecessor on this. And so Trump has shown that even in a non-genocide moment, he's still going to do things that other people won't. And I'm not just talking about Democrat, Republican. I'm saying,
but I don't think we should be arguing about the lesser evil genocide.